starting over.
All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another sibling interview. I'm going to let Nathan introduce himself and tell what he does in life or work and, whatever you want to include.
Okay. I'm Nathan. I'm third of the siblings. I kind of thought we were doing these sibling relationship interviews in order of age, but Christy's very persuasive. I am the third, and I work as a computer programmer in a company locally. And what else do you want to know?
Three of my brothers all work for the same company, so Nate started there and recruited the other two. So.
Yeah, we're taking over.
Yeah, slowly. Yeah. So we're just going to launch in. I have questions prepared, and then my mom will come on at the end and share some of her questions as well. So first question is regarding biblical manhood. What examples have been most influential for you?
Well, I feel like that's a bit of an easy question for me because I had such an amazing father who really modeled biblical manhood for me very well. His strength and selflessness is something that I really learned a lot from. And I remember as I was kind of growing up and figuring out what manhood looked like, and there was a lot of kind of Christian self-help books out there where guys are encouraged to be introspective and to think whether or not they've been affirmed enough as young men and been wounded in some way. My dad just demonstrated a kind of manhood that was selfless and was always there to serve and to never think of himself. I remember going on vacations or coming back and unloading the car or working around the house. It was never about him. It was always how he could serve and help, and the jobs that he did, the jobs that he worked, the jobs that he did around the house was such a testament to a man who was there to serve. And kind of came up with, when we were doing the young kids Bible studies, the little funny little phrase, man up and get over yourself. And I mean, that really came from seeing my dad's example of being one who was biblically taking up his cross, following the Lord, and serving and protecting others. And another thing that he really taught me was he was a very strong man. Strength physically, mentally, emotionally, but he was the kind of strong that the people around him that were the weakest felt the most safe. There was a kind of strength, a kind of masculinity that makes people that are weakest around them feel most at risk, feel most uncertain. But my dad was a strong man that you felt safe around if there was danger. Danger in nature, danger from other people. He would take the blows for those around him, and so I mean that's the biggest example that I grew up with. Was a dad who was masculine and biblical in every way. And I mean, I think about other examples from family. My grandfather on my mom's side was an amazing man, and just devoted his life to ministry. Was backpacking before it was cool, and just a manly, rugged man. But and it was interesting. I could see the examples of my dad and even my uncle, who married my aunt, and he was kind of a little bit more of a simple man, not a strong man in a sense, but he was a selfless man as well. And my Uncle Dave, and how much he did to make life fun for us and take us out in wilderness and backpacking, and just the strength and the selflessness of biblical masculinity is something I really appreciated of those examples. The thing about that was, my dad was that kind of a man without really an example in his life of somebody who is a strong biblical man, at least growing up. And his father got saved much later in his life. But it was really neat to see how he decided to be a man who followed the Lord and honored him in every way, and how that made him an excellent father. So that's having that example is such a stewardship and something I treasure. But it was so amazing to see how really on his side he was the one who started that legacy in his family. So it's something I'm looking forward to continuing.
Yeah, and he didn't have a lot of experience with children and babies, and
Yeah.
he had 7 that he raised and did a wonderful job as a father, and just really learned the ropes going through it for himself.
Can't imagine. Yeah.
But so the next question is on the flip side. How has mom modeled biblical womanhood for you?
From watching the videos, my mom is amazing and an excellent example of a godly woman. And that's too many ways to count. She is gracious and nurturing, kind, and faithful, strong, but not challenging authority in any way. She's smart and somebody who you can talk to about anything, and has so much discernment and wisdom. So, in every way, she's an amazing godly woman, and I've loved seeing her example and how she's able to teach women around her and be an encouraging mentor and example for women in her life, and that being a very Titus 2 type of woman. It's neat to see how she just loves that.
Yeah. Well, I agree with all those points. So our next question is, how did your relationship with your parents change as you grew up that allowed you to transition from kid to adult in a healthy way?
It was them allowing freedom and encouraging us to take on responsibility, to be diligent, to give us tasks and jobs as we were able to take those, was something that I think they did really well. I'm sure it's a challenge as a parent knowing when to support, when to protect somebody from the consequences of decisions, when to allow them to do to have that kind of freedom and flexibility. I really appreciated how they did that, taking examples of faithfulness in small areas and using that as a reason to trust and to give more responsibility, more ability. I remember just working around the house. Like some of my first jobs were, mowing the lawns at the property we were on. Or
that was a 12-acre ranch, by the way.
Yeah, it was
a big lawn.
Big lawn. Yeah, I just my dad's encouragement for to work hard. And I remember there were times growing up where it was like, that all of those branches over there, cut and stack them, and that's a challenge. But it would always be something that he would model and then give that responsibility, give that ability to do that. So, and then my mom, boys going through that growing up years is always
Teenage
I know you guys have talked about that.
Fun.
Of course, I never went through that.
Yeah.
So
it was perfect from day one.
No, I remember it very much so, having a close relationship with my mom growing up. But then there was that time in teenage years where I was, kind of finding my foothold, and my mom was great. She never overreacted to that. Let me kind of become a man on my own, but always be there and encouragement to me. And I remember just in my spiritual life, some of her gentle but gracious proddings on where I stood and how I was living, my life. It wasn't challenging or nagging, but it really got me thinking about my spiritual walk and whether or not I was being faithful for what I said I believed. So, yeah, there's more to say, I'm sure. But.
Okay, and then another question. What was it like being one of the older kids in a family of 7? And how did mom and dad allow you to help with us younger 4 kids without feeling like you were doing too much of the parenting in that setting?
It was fun being part of the cool kids.
We learned from the best.
We had a lot of fun, and I mean we did a lot of parenting too. So we were never never were we supposed to be discipline or correction. That was always mom and dad's role. It was growing up from 6 to 12. Every 2 years, having a little baby in the house was a lot of fun, and partly because my parents made it fun. It was always something to look forward to, and I can't imagine, how much work it was. You kind of look back on that and you think of like, oh yeah, that was so, it's just fun to have babies around. And my parents, we were sleeping through the night and they weren't. So
we all had colic for 6 months. So after each one of us, my mom and dad didn't really sleep for 6 months. So they went through quite a time.
It was a lot of work, I'm sure, and some of it we helped out with. Cleaning up around the house and babysitting, but we had so much fun with it. I'm trying to think of examples of
don't you any embarrassing stories.
the time I lost David.
Well, David would lose himself quite often.
Yeah, he was.
Sorry,
probably
David.
From the other interview. Yeah, he was. I was supposed to be watching him.
It was a wander risk.
Yeah, David Hunt.
David Hunt. That was our famous phrase around our house. Where's David? Man. Everyone.
Yeah, taking seriously responsibility. I was supposed to be watching him. I thought somebody else was. And he walked from on our property up to a big 4-lane road, down the road into the house, and I got in trouble for that. So, taking seriously, taking care of little kids, but doing so was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And we were very thankful for the older siblings, and we kind of there was Matt, Michelle, and Nate, and then there's a 6-year age gap, and then there's 4 more, and so we kind of paired up in a way, I guess. We kind of had our buddy, and my sister and I naturally were buddied up, and so we really were thankful for older siblings and learned from them.
And our parents also were good with reminding us to invest in those relationships, because sometimes when you're siblings, you feel like there's such a difference. 6 years or 10 years feels so massive when you're growing up, but when you're in your 20s and 30s, you're peers, and to invest in and to tie those strings on those little hearts early was a huge benefit. So something that they always encourage us to do, to treat with respect and to reach out to our younger siblings is something that I will never regret and I'm glad for.
Oh, and I don't want to embarrass Nate too much, but he when he was in college, and if you're an older sibling watching this is just an encouragement for you, but he would come home on the weekends, and each Sunday he would take one of the younger 4 kids out to lunch at Quiznos and just have a lunch with us.
I really liked Quiznos, so it was not completely altruistic.
It was good food, and then he would just spend that hour talking with us about life and God and just investing in the relationship with each of us. And so we each had a Sunday per month, and he did that. I don't know how many years you did that, but it was a few years at least. And so we kept Quiznos in business, and but even
I think
today,
it was one of the last Quiznos that went out of business. Fraser.
Yeah. Well, that's because we stopped going there when we moved. But no, just so thankful for that. So if you're an older sibling, just really encourage you to invest in your younger siblings.
Yeah.
And Nate, I feel like even today, even though we're peers, you know, we don't feel the age gap as much unless we're talking about music or movies or something like that, generational. But we still really, we're good friends now, all of us, and so. That's so fun for us we love hanging out, we love doing things together, and so, family is forever.
Yes, it is.
So. All right, well, at this point, we're going to let my mom hop on, and she has a question or two that she's going to ask Nate as well.
Okay, hello, everybody. I came in. I have one question that I'd like to ask Nathan. Okay. I want an honest answer.
Oh, no. Is it going to be
in January 2017, it says that the estimated cost of raising a child from birth through age 17 is $233,610. $233,610, or as much as almost $14,000
millionaires
annually. The Department of Agriculture said that's the average for a middle-income couple with 2 children. It's a bit more expensive in urban areas of the country and less in rural. So my question is this. There's no way that we had the funds to do that. So we had kind of the low budget approach to parenting and family life. And how did that impact you? Did you feel deprived?
Yes, it's no. We had so much. I did not feel like we were financially deprived. Some of it you just kind of grow up accustomed to, saving money for if you want to buy some of those cool Velcro shoes or something like that, or your little cap guns or something like that. Part of it was, I think it probably, even if you had the money, you would have encouraged us to invest our money and to be frugal. But I actually really enjoyed, partly it was just seeing God answer prayer. So many examples of growing up and we didn't have a lot, or we weren't sure where that bill was going to be paid for, or where the food was going to come from in the next month or something, and we were never hungry or hard off, but a lot of that was because God provided in such special and fun ways, and those are some of my favorite memories, looking back and seeing how God provided in some special ways, and also encouraging to be, if you are on the other side of that, being able to give. And I remember there was an example of a need that God fulfilled in our family, and years later I was talking to somebody, and it turned out that they were one of the ones that had a tax return and gave a portion of it anonymously. And it was so neat to see and to communicate to them how helpful and encouraging that was. And so to be inspiration to be generous when you do have resources. And part of it also was it allowed our play to be more creative. Michelle and I going out and rock hunting was one of our favorite things to do. We would just go out and dig in the dirt and find rocks. We found bricks one time, and we were sure they were from an ancient wall. It wasn't ancient, but we would have so much fun making tree houses and even selling stuff. I remember we would pick these horrible grapefruits that would grow on the property, and we would go up the street and sell grapefruits. And they were not good grapefruits, but we'd sell them for 5-10 cents or something, and people would buy them, and it kind of gives us opportunities to raise money for a basketball trip, selling candy bars in front of a restaurant, or getting little jobs early. So I enjoyed that.
And you made some really neat woodworking things, and even
baking bread.
Made like it looked like laser cutouts of a rose for your sister's high school graduation. And So it was neat to see them develop skills. So
Yeah, it gave us
good.
motivation to develop some ways of earning money, and yeah, I loved it. And I can't really compare it to having lots of money, but it didn't feel we didn't feel deprived or anything. And sometimes not having the most impressive toy or electronic device is probably better for our activities and being outside and enjoying the simple ways of play as well. So
Good. Well, being married to a pastor who we had about 13 years once of ministering to homeschoolers, and single income families were usually homeschooling, so we didn't take a salary then. And just to see God give the joy of ministering to people, and seeing also how he took care of us. So
did always.
Thank you for watching and listening, and Nathan, thank you for being willing to.
Yes, this is a testament to Christy's ability to make things happen, because
Yes.
we have a few camera-phobic siblings that I am one of them, so we're gonna get the rest through here probably eventually. I gotta work on it, and Christy's gonna work on it for sure.
Okay.
She was always so good at that.
So this is kind of like a week off for me, but we hope it is encouraging for you moms that worry about having all the funds to do everything. When you hear these costs of raising children these days, it's not that much if you trust God and encourage curiosity and ingenuity and entrepreneurship in your kids.
Yes. Oh, thanks, Mom.
Okay, thank you, Nate, and goodbye for now.
Bye.